Hello there, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Audrey Williams of Audrey Williams Flowers to Interiors, and welcome to the Country Living series. And today I'm going to be talking to you about the 10 things I've learned to watch out for while driving in the countryside. Come take a drive with me. There's different types of country lanes, and I'm actually on a big country road at the moment, but there's a few things that you need to kind of watch out for when you're driving on the country lane. And I'm going to be really honest with you, I absolutely was terrified of driving on the country lanes before moving to the countryside, and it took me quite a while to get used to it, and I just took my time and slowly, and now I absolutely enjoy and much prefer driving on the country lanes now. And it was just, the reason why I was so fearful is it was like something I wasn't used to. I was used to driving in London. I was used to just the whole setup of how the roads are in the city, and on the country lanes it's just so different. And one of the things that I learned really quickly was people drive too fast on a country lane, and they drive so fast. Sometimes they're coming up behind you really fast, or they're coming ahead really fast, and it's really bendy on country lanes. So there's really sharp bends, and a lot of the time people drive too fast. Oddly enough, a lot of country lanes has the national speed limit on it, and to be honest, it's so bendy, there's just no way you should be driving the national speed limit on these country lanes, but people do, and they go beyond. It took me a while to get used to it, and it's just like anything. As human beings, we adapt and we get used to anything that we do on a regular basis, and I drive on the country lanes every day. I've just gotten used to it, and to the point now where I actually prefer it. So some country lanes are really narrow, so you have like country lanes where you have 2 lanes, so therefore you've got space for people coming down on one side, which is what you're kind of used to in the city, and you going up on the other side. But then you get country lanes where there's only space for one car, so you have to slow down at the bends because you can't see a car approaching, and you have to use what's called passing places. So it's like a little area where you can pull over, and then the other car can get past, or they've pulled over and you can get past. You have to kind of be mindful of where they are, particularly on these single lane country lanes, but you need to be aware of these passing places. Linked really with the passing places is when you pull over, a lot of times, particularly on country lanes, you have what's like ditches either side of the road, so you can't really pull over very well, so you have to wait until there's a passing place. And I have been in situations where I've gone too far, they've gone too far, and far from the passing place, and one of us has to reverse. But these ditches either side are basically near fields, and that's where the water runs off into the field, and this stops the roads from being flooded, and so that's why they're there. So you have to be mindful that when you pull over, you're not going to end up in a ditch. So you get a lot of cyclists on country lanes. Obviously it's really nice for them, so you have to be mindful of them. Hopefully they're wearing a high vis at night, but even in the day you can come round a bend and all of a sudden there's a cyclist. So that's why it's much wiser to just drive slower, and you get cyclists all the time, and to give them as wide a berth as possible when you pass them. And so yeah, you have to be mindful of cyclists. So where we live, there's quite a few equestrian places, so therefore that means that we get a lot of people on on the roads with their horses. And you have to be really careful with horses, because if you drive past them too fast, it makes them nervous and makes them jump, and you don't want them to, gallop away or just put their legs up in the air and throw off their rider. So you need to be really careful. So what you do is you go up to the horses when you're driving, slow right down, give them lots of space, and then you just go super slow when you drive past them, and that way they don't get nervous. They're used to you're not rushing past, and that keeps the rider of the horse safe. Honestly, riders are always really grateful when you do that, because they always wave and always say thank you, because I've seen a couple of times when people haven't done that, and you can just see the rider has just been gripping those reins when people go past. So yeah, that's one of the etiquettes, and also just keeping people safe on the roads as well as yourself. Speaking of animals, you do get a lot of animals that are crossing the road when you're driving, so you have to be mindful of them. Where we are, we have a lot of pheasants, and when it's pheasant season, they just cross the road. They don't cross quickly. They sometimes turn in their direction, so they're crossing the road one way, and then all of a sudden they change their mind and turn back. So basically you have to kind of slow down so that you don't injure them. And we get ducks crossing the road an awful lot, and again they will just go across and they take their time, and we don't rush them. And this is in particular areas where we are, but we've driven places where you've got sheep and cows crossing the road, and where we are, we have a lot of deer, and they shoot across the road, so you have to be really mindful, because they just whiz across. And we have a lot of deer in the area, and they do that all the time, so you have to kind of be mindful of animals going across the road all the time when you're on these country lanes. And because it's a country lane, you do get a lot of people who walk their dogs or jog, and again, it's just like the cyclists and the horses. You slow down, give them as wide a berth as possible. Don't overtake them on a bend, because you can't see what's coming. So you just have to be mindful that other people are enjoying the countryside and enjoying the country lanes. So you have to be mindful that, although there's drivers on the road, there's always people on the road as well. And what a lot of people don't realise is there's no lights on country lanes. No lights at all, no street lights. So you basically have to use your beams on your car to light you all the way. And obviously if you've got oncoming traffic, you have to take your beams down and let them pass, and then you put your beams back on. But there's no lights, and that's something that you really do have to get used to. So that's why if there's people like cyclists or people who are jogging at night or walking their dogs at night, really important that they wear some sort of high vis, because it's literally pitch dark at night when you're driving on the country lanes. Now in the winter time, the sun is really low down in the sky, if we do get a sunny day in the UK. And because it's really low down in the sky, and you don't have buildings to kind of block out the rays, you've just got open fields, you tend to have to wear sunglasses. I probably wear sunglasses in the winter time if it's sunny more than I do in the summer, because it's so low down in the sky. So you have to be really mindful of that. You don't have these, anything blocking out these rays when you're driving. So yeah, always have sunglasses in the car. So not too long ago we had a lot of snow, and the temperatures in the rural areas tend to be a couple of degrees lower than in the city, so you kind of feel it a lot more. And it's really hazardous, because on the small country lanes, nobody comes out to grit. They grit the main roads, but they don't grit the country lanes, the small country lanes. So you really do have to be careful in the winter winter time, particularly when it snows, and so those kind of adverse weathers, you have to be super careful because you're basically driving on an ice rink. If you can avoid it, I would, but if you can't, you just have to be very, very mindful. So I've finished running that errand, so I've taken my coat off. I got just so hot, bothered. If you can, when you're driving in the countryside, to be honest, a 4x4, four-wheel drive is much better. I mean, the roads they tend to be more up and down, and if you're pulling over on a passing place, it's really muddy and dips down. So for example, I deliver a lot around where I live, and there's, you know, it's an abundance of country lanes, and when I deliver my flowers, it's just much easier and much more comfortable, and just feels sort of safer if you're in a four-wheel drive. So any sort of low, really nice car doesn't really work on the country lanes. You just kind of, you're better off with a four-wheel drive if you can, but it's something to be mindful of. Speaking of mindful of, I was watching Kizzie on City to Country. She's a YouTuber, Seventh-day Adventist YouTuber, and I will link her YouTube down below. And they had a gate blow open that wasn't sufficiently locked in front of a field, and they damaged their car. I think it got written off. So you do have to, there's always like odd kind of things that you wouldn't necessarily have in the city, but you know, like field gates blowing open and stuff like that, and thankfully all of them are fine and the family's fine. But yes, that just blowing out, you know, the wind just blowing the gate out, and you know, damaging their car quite badly, is just kind of another kind of thing that you have to be mindful of, that you get all sorts of different things when you're driving on these country lanes. Well, that's the end of the things that I look out for while driving in the countryside. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to my channel. Just click the notification bell as well when you subscribe, so that it will let you know when I load up the next one. And I'll see you in the next video.